Hey everybody, welcome to the GMG review. Today I'm taking a look at Codex Supplement Dark Angels, the most recent 9th edition update to Warhammer 40,000 from Games Workshop. Now, this book is the newest in a line of, you used to have your own Codex and then it took us 8 campaign books to update everybody in 8th edition because you were all special, unique people with their own unique backgrounds, and now you're getting a supplement. So way to join the ranks, everybody else, including the Space Wolves and the Blood Angels and the Deathwatch, who the Space Wolves actually have had their own Codex since 2nd edition. Actually, technically since the first book of the Astronomicon in Rogue Trader. And now they're a supplement, so eat it, first founding chapters. All of you bow down before the Ultramarines or the Space Marine Codex. And the Dark Angels now join those ranks. So what do we got in here? Well, we've got a grand total of 80 pages of wonderful Dark Angel content. If you are new to Warhammer 40,000 or don't know much about the Dark Angels, there are 7 million great lore videos out there, racking up the views. That'll tell you the story about who the good guys are and who the bad guys are here. But basically, way back in the day, during the Horus Heresy, half this legion decided that the Emperor was wrong and Horus was right, and Horus was right and the Emperor was wrong, and it's one of 40K's great mysteries until they ruined it and spelled it all out in the Horus Heresy novels. People will claim the Dark Angels are the good guys or the bad guys, but of course the real truth is there are no good guys in 40K except for the Tyranids. Think about it. They're the only ones that don't have an agenda. They just want to eat everything. They're just sharks. Can't get mad at a shark. All right, let's dive in. First 28 pages go through the background and a showcase of all the cool models. We got some cool new art here done double-sided. Some classic art. This is, of course, from the Dark Vengeance box set, which I still have unbuilt somewhere. I have a built one and an unbuilt one. I should build it. It's pretty cool, actually. The Inner Circle, talking about the folks that know the secrets. Basically, if you're a Dark Angel and you want to know the history of your chapter, you got to earn the trust. It's a little Donnie Brasco. You got to get in and get in and get in until you're trusted. Old Cypher. There you go. That's the classic Cypher. And then, of course, new Cypher having an even cooler new miniature. The Rock, it's a big chunk of space that used to be Caliban, the planet that the Dark Angels are from. It's been turned into a spaceship. It got invaded recently by a demon prince, which shouldn't have been able to happen, but did happen. And yeah, it's a space, like, if these are all Imperial cruisers, look how big that sucker is. It's real big. It's got all kinds of dungeons on it, too, full of people that might know secrets. Basically, it's a black site. Go through Vigilus and all the cool stuff that happened there, all the sort of story of like the coming of the Primaris Marines and how the Dark Angels didn't really trust them. And then the special cool companies inside the Dark Angels like the Deathwing and the Ravenwing. And there used to be one called the Ironwing that was all tanks. It was like hinted to like around 2nd edition and Rogue Trader and stuff, but then never really talked about again. We got all our special characters, Samael, Belial. You'll notice there's a preponderance of angelic names, biblical angelic names in here, of course, because you gotta have your tropes. Black Pearls, that's all of the fallen who've been gotten to confess by an interrogator chaplain. And then Azrael, who's still not got a new miniature or crossed the Rubicon Primaris. All the cool chapters of successors, collectively known as the Unforgiven. The Insignium Calibanus, all the cool markings. And I like that they threw in, so this is clever actually, if I was gonna do a Fallen Angels army, which with the amount of Horus Heresy stuff still kicking around is super tempting with the new KX Codex. They've used basically all of the Heresy era miniatures to make Fallen, which I think is really clever actually. Some Dark Angel bits and then tons of Heresy era stuff to make a Fallen Angels army fighting against a bunch of Primaris. Look at how much bigger they are though. It's adorable. Look at the sergeant's like 3 inches taller than this sergeant. It's gotta be real jealous. Ironically, he might even be from the Horus Heresy, from when Call was building these guys way back when. I mean, not the Horus Heresy, but around the same time. Big color section with all the cool unique units like the Knights, their cool unique space trucks. Now, one thing that's interesting is the Dark Angels have access to a lot of stuff they didn't have access to before, just like everybody else. Anything that was in the Marine Codex that they didn't previously have allowed is now allowed. So in the case of like the Space Wolves, for instance, they couldn't take a Storm Raven gunship. They can now. Ironclad Dreadnoughts. I'm not sure. I played Space Wolves. I didn't play Dark Angels in the previous edition, so I'm not sure exactly what was and wasn't allowed. And of course that got added to as time went on through the campaign books, but all this unique stuff of course now exists in here in this book. More color sections. Man, some of these miniatures are so old. Like that trio of 3 dudes right there, except for him who's been redone, These two guys are probably two of the oldest 40k miniatures still available for sale in the range. And that's Ezekiel and Azrael. Ezekiel used to be called Easy Kill because he didn't have an unmodifiable save in second edition. That's a second bit of 90s humor for you if you've been around for a while, 25 years ago. And of course we've got Azrael. My buddy Paul Sinanon, I think, has converted about 17 of those since high school. He'll comment on this video now and tell me the exact number because that's, I guess Paul's gonna want me to know what the actual number is. And then this huge, of course, double color section in the middle here, and we're getting into the rules. Hooray! So if you haven't been around for one of these Codex reviews before, the layout, of course, is the same in all of these new 9th edition supplements and codexes: Battleforge rules, Army rules, Match Play rules, Crusade rules. I'm not going to look through the Crusade rules too much because this video will be a forever long video otherwise. And it's not the thing that people are most excited about because the Army rules are how they operate in every game, no matter if it's narrative or matched. And I'm going to try and keep this video from being like 15 hours long. All the rules for successors. Now this is just like all the other Marine codexes where if you choose a successor chapter, you replace the keywords with their name. And obviously you get access to part, but not all of the special equipment available to that, the actual Dark Angels chapter. Specifically relics and stuff like that. But you can use the Honored of the Rock stratagem to gain access to at least one relic. Your comp patrol, so assume this is going to be a box that's for sale eventually. So you've got a an intercessor squad. You got the chaplain, the Primaris chaplain, not the one that comes in the big box. And then we have a Redemptor. It's a full Redemptor, not easy to build because you can see it's got the plasma incinerator or whatever the big plasma cannon is called. And then a unit of, again, not easy to build, but full Inceptors, which I quite like. I like my Inceptors. It's for some Gravis stuff. Detachment abilities. Okay, so let's jump into some key actual Army rules. Ravenwing units in a Dark Angels detachment that do not already have the Jink ability gain the Jink ability. Deathwing and Inner Circle abilities that don't have the Inner Circle ability gain the Inner Circle ability. So Jink is the cover bonus. I believe it's still a cover bonus. Let's just double check in the Army rules. Again, when an army has like 17 different rules from different editions, it is not the easiest thing to remember all of them. Yeah, it's a 5+ invul against range attacks, and if they advance, it goes to a 4+ invul. So it's, yeah, sorry, I said cover, didn't I? It's old cover, not new cover, where you got an invulnerable save. Too many additions in my head. And then Inner Circle is, each time a morale test is taken, it's automatically passed. When this unit's within engagement range of an enemy fallen unit, unless it's a vehicle, this unit cannot be selected to fall back because they're mad. And then each time you select this unit to fall back, unless it has the vehicle, Ravenwing, or Chapter Master keyword, roll 2d6, and if the result is less than or equal to the unit's leadership characteristic, it can fall back. Otherwise, it must remain stationary. It's actually a penalty not being Inner Circle and falling back. And then each time an attack is made against this unit, if this unit has the infantry keyword, modified rolls of 1 to 3 always fail, regardless of the weapon type. So pretty great. And then the final secret, dun, dun, dun. If every unit in your army has the Dark Angels keyword, you gain the Combat Doctrines abilities and the Sons of the Lions abilities. If every unit in the army, except online units, has the Dark Angels keyword, then the Dark Angels Vanguard detachment that only contains models with the Deathwing or Inner Circle keywords gains the first company ability. If every unit in your army has the Dark Angels keyword and the Dark Angels Outrider detachments that only contain models from the Ravenwing keyword gain the second company ability. So you get some actual company abilities, which I think is cool. And then your army can only include one Ravenwing captain and one Deathwing captain from the same chapter. So basically, it's allowing you to make pure Ravenwing and Deathwing armies for first and second company. And then the Sons of the Lion is the sort of like general World Dark Angels rules. So Sons of the Lion, units that have this following abilities: Speed of the Raven, Fire Discipline, and Implacable. So Speed of the Raven is while the Devastator Doctrine is active, add 3 to the move characteristic of Ravenwing models. And Ravenwing units from your army eligible to shoot with in a turn in which they advanced. Each time a unit does so, they suffer the penalty incurred to the hit rolls as if they're firing an assault weapon. So it doesn't make them assault, which is an interesting distinction, but they can advance and fire, and although they're not assault, they're minus to hit like an assault weapon. Fire Discipline. While the Tactical Doctrine is active for your army, the infantry models from your army, excluding Deathwing models, can make attacks with rapid fire and assault weapons while engagement range, but your ballistic skill becomes 5+. So you have to shoot people who engage with you, but you can shoot your rapid fire and assault weapons into melee. Basically, again, this is important. They're not making them pistol. A lot of things would switch the weapon type from like pistol to assault or whatever. So you maintain your rapid fire, which means double shooting, any bonuses that come from being rapid fire weapons or whatever you have for your unit, and you just get to shoot an engagement with your rapid fire and assault weapons. That's pretty great, especially for flamers and anything that auto hits. And obviously, because it doesn't care about your blow skill dropping to 5+, and then obviously being able to short range fire things like melt guns and stuff is pretty rad too. And then Implacable, while the Assault Doctrine is active for your army, each time a Deathwing Infantry or Deathwing Dreadnought makes a melee attack in a unit or unit that contains models with a wound characteristic of 8 or more, reroll the wound roll. So fighting big stuff with Deathwing, with more than 8 wounds, they can reroll wounds. That's huge against Knights. Like, your Deathwing became really good against Knights, against lots of big beastie Tyranids, against, what else did I have? Lots of like tank companies, any tank armies. That's a huge deal. Getting a free just reroll wounds for those units. And then if you do take a detachment that only has Deathwing and Ravenwing in it, you gain these first company and second company keywords. The first company ones, you get OBSEC for all your Deathwing Terminators, Terminator Squad, Assault Squads, Relic Terminator Squad. And then if your Warlord is part of this detachment, you get +3 command points. So cool, if you take a pure Deathwing army, no command point cost for the detachment, and that means you could actually take a, let's say, Outrider detachment or Vanguard detachment, and that means you have to have 1 HQ in 3 of those units and not have it cost you CPs. So interesting, I mean, soup is dead, right? But interesting that within their own faction, the Dark Angels can kind of not pay a penalty for taking, let's say, a small unit of Ravenwing land speeders, and they're all going to gain these bonuses, such as OBSEC. So Bike Squad and Outrider Squads in this unit, sorry, land speeders wouldn't, will gain OBSEC, and if your Warlord's part of the detachment, you get the refund. So that's not bad. I mean, that's exciting for people that play Dark Angels and want to use those attachments as like an augmentation for, let's say, a battalion. And then you get your Rites of Initiation. This is a bit like the Space Marine stuff where you can take your, like, Master of the Captain, or Master of the Chapter. Each one is a different upgrade. Each time you upgrade one of these units, it gains the Deathwing keyword, and its power rating is increased as shown. If you're playing a match play game, you get the increased by point amount instead. In a Crusade force, units can only be upgraded to become Deathwing by having, when it's added to your order of battle, or by getting it as an upgrade when you upgrade your power level. So what does that mean? That means that if you have the Rites of Initiation and you want to have a Deathwing Land Raider or a Deathwing Dreadnought, they're going to gain the Inner Circle ability, right? Because they wouldn't already have it, but that means that you can basically buy the first company stuff for taking your first company. And that's cool. That means that you can induce or induct all that stuff like Blade Guard veterans in the Space Marine Codex, your Storm Raven gunship, any transport that can take Terminators, Repulsors, Land Raiders, Dreadnoughts, and Primaris Lieutenants. And I think that's a nice bonus. That means that you can take these little formations and give them the units that would be thematically appropriate and still get this benefit. And I mean, who doesn't want to have? Can you take Knights? They don't get OBSEC, but you could have, they could be your elites at least. And you can still have Terminator, Deathwing Terminator Squad to have OBSEC, and then take a bunch of Knights on top of it. So you take a huge unit of Knights. If you didn't care about the OBSEC thing, take a huge unit of Knights and give them all the Inner Circle, which is, I mean, why not? All right, let's jump into that CP stuff. We got just 2 pages of CPs to go through, so not too much here. And we'll jump in with the battle tactics. So Wrath of the Lion for 2 CPs. Use Stratagem in your command phase. If a combat doctrine is active in your army until the start of your next command phase, each time a Dark Angel model from your army makes an attack with a weapon specified to be active in that combat doctrine, and a modified wound roll of 6 improves the AP by 1. This is cumulative with that doctrine. So that's not bad. Two CPs to make what, like a tactical doctrine, your 6s to hit become -2 instead of -3, so bolt rifles would be -3 for your Primaris guys. Intractable, and also like your melee weapons on turn 4+. Being -2 instead of -3, so like your, let's say your Assault Intercessors, your Chainswords would be -3 all of a sudden. Intractable for 2 CPs. Use Stratagem in your movement phase when a Dark Angel unit is selected to fall back. If it has Inner Circle, you don't need to roll 2d6 to see if it does so. It can automatically do so until the end of the turn. That unit is still eligible to shoot. So basically, it breaks the stubborn rule for your Inner Circles being able to not fall back, and then you're going to be able to still shoot when you do so, which is pretty cool. 1 CP for Deathwing Assault. Use Stratagem in your shooting phase when a Deathwing unit from your army is selected to shoot. Each time a model in that unit makes a ranged attack, if it was set up in the battlefield as a result of a teleport home or a teleport strike, it's +1 to wound. Very appropriate for the Space Hulk style teleport assault that Deathwing used to do. Full throttle for 1 or 2. Use Stratagem in your movement phase. After a Ravenwing unit advances, that unit immediately makes a normal move up to 12, but can't shoot. So you can turbo boost, basically. If it's 5 or fewer models, it's 1 CP, otherwise it costs 2. So for 1 CP, that means that Ravenwing, like the vehicles and stuff, can move plus 12 for 1, because they're only a single model. Line Unbreakable. Use a stratagem at the start of the fight phase. Select 1 infantry unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, the unit can only be selected to target for melee attacks if the attacking model is within engagement range of it. Note this means that models that are not in engagement range but half-inch cannot, of a model of their own unit, cannot target with melee attacks. So basically only the front rank of guys fighting you can attack all of a sudden, as opposed to being able to reach through. So that's crazy against some armies, like the big horde armies like Orcs and Tyranids, where you might have a huge pile of guys where they're reaching in from the second line. They all can't fight you all of a sudden for 1. High Speed Focus. 1 CP when Epic Deeds. Use this in your opponent's shooting phase when you allocate a ranged attack to a Ravenwing vehicle model from your army. Till the start of your next turn, that model has a 4+ invul save against range attacks. Not bad. No foe too great to subdue for 2 CPs. Use stratagem in the fight phase when a Deathwing Knights unit from your army is chosen to fight. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that Knight unit makes an attack with a Mace of Absolution against a vehicle or monster, add 1 to its wound roll and improve the AP by 1. So for 2 CPs, and you're using your big old Mace of Absolution, you can start smacking on Knights and getting +1 to wound. So, I mean, toughness 8, strength 5, I'm pretty sure. Actually, it's more than strength 5. It's strength. The Mace of Absolution is the big one. Where are you at, Mace of Absolution? Nothing Champion, Halberd of Caliban, nothing Knights. Mace of Absolution, ×2, yeah, so strength 8. So you'd be wounding on 3s now against like toughness 8, which is huge. And you -4 AP. Marked for command, select a Dark Angels, Ravenwing, Huntmaster, or Knightmaster. That has the word Sergeant in the profile, and you can give him special issue wargear, so that's your give a little guy a thing. And you can give him Mastercraft weapon, digital weapons, Atonement, Bolts of Judgment. Paragon of the Chapter for 1 CP. Use the stratagem after nominating a Dark Angels character that's not named Warlord. You can buy a Warlord trait. Honored by the Rock. It's the one where you get to give your successor chapter one of your Dark Angel relics. And then Tactical Appraisal. Use a stratagem in your command phase. Select 1 Dark Angel unit from your army within 6 of your Warlord, and select 1 Combat Doctrine. Until the start of your next command phase, for the purpose of that unit, it's also active. And then the Hunt for 2 or 3. Use stratagem at the start of the first battle round before the first turn begins. Select 1 Ravenwing unit from your army. They can make a normal move as if it was your movement phase, but must end more than 9 from the enemy. If both players have units that can do that before the first turn begins, then the player who's taking the first turn moves theirs first. If it's 5 or fewer models, it's 2, otherwise it's 3. Targeting Guidance, it's again for Ravenwing. Use a stratagem in your shooting phase. Select 1 enemy unit within 18 of a visible Ravenwing Land Speeder or Storm Speeder. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in a friendly Dark Angel unit makes an attack against the selected unit, add 1 to the hit roll. So you can basically give yourself a bonus to hit. You can spot. Swift Strike for 2 or 3. Use stratagem in your fight phase after a Ravenwing unit from your army is fought. If that unit's within engagement range of any enemy units, it can fall back as if it was the movement phase. Otherwise, you can make a normal move as if it was the movement phase. If that unit contains 5 or fewer models, the stratagem costs 2, otherwise it costs 3. Secret Agenda for 1. Use stratagem after selecting secondaries or agendas. You can use it in narrative play as well. Do not reveal one of your selections to your opponent. The first time you score victory points or experience points for it, reveal it to your opponent. So you can basically hide what you're doing for a CP. We recommend writing it down and concealing it until revealed. Yeah, that might be important in tournaments or something. Stasis Shell for 2 CPs. Use this when a Ravenwing model from your army shoots within a Astartes grenade launcher. If it hits scored, the target is caught in stasis until the end of your next turn and the attack sequence ends. While a unit, excluding vehicles or monsters caught in stasis, it cannot fall back. That's interesting. If it hits scored, the target is caught in stasis until the start of your next phase and the attack sequence ends. While a unit excluding vehicles or monsters caught in stasis, it cannot fall back. So you just get stuck with them. Weapons of the Dark Age for 2 CPs. Use stratagem in the shooting phase when a Dark Angel unit from your army is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, add 1 to the damage of plasma weapons that unit is equipped with. So pretty sweet. You can still get the +1 damage on your Hellblasters. Or your Devastators if people are still using Devastators. Warlord traits. All right, so we've got 6 Warlord traits, of course, that are unique to the Dark Angels. Brilliant Strategist. In your command phase, select a friendly Dark Angels unit within 6 of the Warlord. Till the start of your next command phase. Each time a model in that unit makes an attack, if the tactical is active for the army, then the Devastator Doctrine is considered to be active for the attack instead. Each time a model in the unit makes an attack, if the Assault Doctrine is active, then the Tactical Doctrine is active instead. So basically in your command phase, you can roll back the Doctrine by 1. Fear of the Lion for an aura. While a friendly Dark Angel unit's within 6 of the Warlord, if this Warlord's made a charge move, was charged or performed a heroic intervention, add 1 to the strength of models in that unit. That's pretty cool. +1 strength for somebody. Pretty cool for Knights. So your Knights would be strength 9 with their halberds all of a sudden. Calibanite Knight. Calibanite Knight. That's an interesting tongue twister. Each time his Warlord makes a melee attack against an infantry or bike unit, an unmodified roll of 2+ is always successful. So no getting minus to hit. You just hit on 2s. So that means that your power fist hits on 2s, all your minus to hit weapons hit on 2s, all the sneaky folks that are minus to hit, you still hit on 2s. So I know that mods are stacked or capped now at -1, but that's still handy. Stubborn Tenacity. When this Warlord is destroyed, if it does not explode, you can use this Warlord trait instead of using any other abilities that proc off being destroyed. If you do this, Warlord is not removed until until the start of from play until the start of the next turn or the end of the battle, whichever comes first. Until this happens, it's still considered to be in play, but any further wounds this Warlord would lose are not lost. So you just stay alive until the start of the next turn, or until the end of the battle, whichever comes first. That's crazy. Neat for like a suicide bomb melee guy to be able to charge in and always get to fight, like you're just sure he's going to be able to attack. Decisive Tactician. Well, friendly Dark Angel's core units within 6 of this Warlord, I'd want to advance and charge rolls. And then Honor the First Legion. This Warlord's eligible to perform a heroic intervention if it's within 6 and 5 of an enemy unit. Each time it makes a one, it can move 6. And then the Ravenwing and Deathwing both get specific ones for theirs. They're like little bonuses. There's only 2 for the Ravenwing. Lightning Fast Reactions. Each time an attack is made against this Warlord, subtract -1 to the hit roll. And then Master Maneuver. This Warlord's eligible to shoot and charge in a turn in which it fell back. And then Watched for the Deathwing. Once per battle, you can, in your opponent's psychic phase, this Warlord can attempt to resist 1 additional psychic power, even if it's not a psyker. When taking Deny the Witch, don't roll the dice. It's just passed, so the Watchers just intervene. And then Inexorable. Each time an attack is allocated to this Warlord, subtract 1 from its damage. That's pretty cool, actually. To a minimum of 1. Name characters and Warlord traits. So Asmodee gets Fear of the Lion, which is the bonus strength. Azrael gets Brilliant Strategist, which is the rollback the doctrines. Belial gets Inexorable, which is the -1 damage. Ezekiel gets Stubborn Tenacity, that you just don't die. Lazarus gets Brilliant Strategist, again to roll back the turn. And then Samael gets Master Maneuver. No -1 to hit, eh? And then Interromancy Disciplines. These are the chapter-specific psychic powers. Mindworm, cast on 6. Enemy within 18, suffer a mortal wound until the start of your next fight phase. Until the start of your next psychic phase in the fight phase. That unit's not eligible to fight until all their eligible units have done so. So you can make them go last. Aversion. It's a malediction. Cast on 6. Enemy within 24. And again, neither of these require line of sight. Mindworm didn't either. While within 6 of the Psyker, subtract -1 of the attack characteristic of models in the unit, and each time a model in the unit makes an attack, -1 to hit. So -1 to hit and -1 attack. Righteous Repugnance, Blessing. It's on a 7. Friendly Dark Angel within 12. Until the start of your next psychic phase, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, reroll the hit roll and reroll the wound roll. So you just juice them up. Again, pretty cool for Deathwing Knights. Let's just reroll everything on a 7. Trephination. I like how all of this has to do with like weird turn of the century like cranial procedures. Witchfire, warp charge of 5, enemy within 18 has to be closest. They take D3 mortal wounds. If the result of the psych test is greater than the leadership characteristic of the enemy unit, they just suffer a flat 3. Engulfing Fear Malediction on a 7, enemy unit within 24. Until the start of your next psychic phase, -1 leadership. The unit cannot use the objective security ability. If the result of the psych test was equal to or greater than the unit's leadership characteristic, they can't perform actions either, and if they were performing one, it fails. And then Mind Wipe, Malediction on a 7, enemy within 18 of the Psyker, then select an aura that they have. They cannot use it until their next psychic phase. So turn off auras, turn off OBSEC and minus leadership and can't do actions, and then big jack up smite basically for Trephination. All right, and we got Relics of the Rock and then Special Issue Wargear. So if you're playing as a sub-chapter, your own creation of the Dark Angels, you have access to all this, and you can pick one of these with that one command or stratagem that you can use. So Mace of Redemption replaces a Power Maul or Crozius. It's ×2, -3, 2 damage, and then abilities, each time an attack is made against a heretic, a Astartes or Fallen unit, an unmodified wound roll of 4, inflicts 2 mortal wounds, and the attack sequence ends. So that's pretty crazy. A 4+ to hit, you just do 2 mortal wounds against Fallen. I mean, it's situational, right? But if you've got 5 attacks, you roll a 4+ on everything, and you just do 10 mortal wounds. Pendant of the Remembrance, so Deathwing Ancient model only, and you're, actually that's, so you give that to a Chaplain. Oh yeah, I have to look this up now. I like that relic. Just go to 10 mortal wounds. So what's our Chaplain? He's got 4. Regular Integrity Chaplain has 4 as well. So +1 from Shock Assault, so 5. And then hitting on 2s and 4+, and then you can use, of course, your Prayer to just reroll your melee attacks. And then Fish for 4s. Yeah, 10 mortal wounds sounds pretty cool against just, I mean, it's situational against chaos, but that's pretty cool. Pendant of Remembrance, Deathwing Ancient only. In your command phase, select 1 Deathwing Infantry Core unit from your army within 6 of the bear. Until starting next command phase, each time an attack is allocated to a model in the unit, -1 damage. Handy for all those damage to heavy bolters now. Shroud of Heroes, each time an attack is made against the bear, -1 to hit. So just you can take a -1 to hit for all your heroes. Reliquary of the Repentant, Ravenwing Biker only. 1 enemy units within 3 of the bear. Each time an invulnerable save is made for a model in the unit that has an invulnerable save of 4 or better, the saving throw is successful only on a 5+. So you turn off all the 4+ and 3+ invuls to a 5+ instead. Take that Shadow Field for your Dark Eldar. Foe Smiter, models equipped with a Stormbolter only. It's Assault 4, 5, -1, 2 damage. That's pretty cool. Eye of the Unseen, the bear gains the following ability. Fear Aura. While enemies within 6 of the bear, subtract 1 from their leadership characteristic. At the start of the fight phase, if an enemy character unit's within engagement range of the bear, that unit is not eligible to fight until all other eligible units from your army have done so. A Ravenwing Talon Master is eligible even if they're in a vehicle. Cool. So you can give that to a vehicle. Cup of Retribution, Chaplain model only. Once per battle, the bear can recite the Feast of Malediction litany instead of reciting a litany that it knows. And then that's when a friendly Dark Angel core unit within 6 of the priest, add 1 of the attacks characteristic models in that unit. That's pretty cool. So you can do the, it's automatically inspiring too, no need to roll. Just give everybody +1 attack. And then Special Issue Wargear, you got your usual Adamantine Mantle, Artificer Armor, Mastercraft Weapon, Digital Weapons. The Hellfall, a Fall Blade, replaces a Power Sword, Mastercraft Power Sword, Relic Blade, or Executioner's Relic Blade. And it's +2 Strength, -4, 2 damage, +1 attack too. And a Talon Master is eligible to be given it, even if it's in a vehicle. The Arbiter's Gaze. Each time the bear makes an attack, a hit of 2+ is always successful. And each time the bear makes an attack, they get no cover. A Talon Master can also have that. So lots of cool like Ravenwing bonusy relics here too. Atonement replaces a Plasma Pistol. It's 18-inch range, pistol 1, 9 -4, 3 damage. Phooey. And then Bolts of Judgment. When you give this model to a relic, select 1 bolt weapon. If you make 1 attack with it, but the attack has an AP of -2 and a damage of 3. And making the attack against the vehicle or monster at 2+ to hit is always successful, and a Talon Master can have it. And then our chapter approved rules. So these are your bespoke, like special objectives you can take, your secondaries. You get 1 Purge the Enemy, 1 no, Mercy, No Respite, and 1 Battlefield Supremacy. So I was really impressed with the way in the Death Guard Codex they actually lent towards a single playstyle. I feel like that might be a thing, unfortunately, that you only see in armies like Death Guard, where it's its own self-contained army. I don't know if we're going to see that here. So Purge the Enemy, Martial Interdiction is your endgame objective. If you select it after both sides are deployed, but before the first turn begins, your opponent must select 1 character model from their army. If their army does not contain any character models, they must select their Warlord instead. Score VP at the end of the battle as follows. Score 6 if the selected enemy model was destroyed by a melee attack made by a Dark Ages model in your army. So your opponent's, this is your opponent's stuff. Score 3, you're picking one of your opponent's character models or their Warlord. Score 6 if you kill them. Score 3 additional ones if the selected enemy model was destroyed by a melee attack from an Inner Circle or Deathwing model from your army. And score 6 if the Dark Ages model unit that destroyed the selected army was not itself destroyed. So it's gonna, because you max at 15, it's gonna score you full 15 if one of your Deathwing or Inner Circle guys goes up, kills the character or the Warlord if it's like a Titan, or a Knight, sorry, rather, and then doesn't die at the end of the game. So, I mean, yeah, that's an easy 15 potentially for some of those units, like, but you don't know who you're trying to hunt down. Like, it's way harder in some games to hunt down like a guard colonel hiding behind 60 or 70 models of infantry than it is to go and run up and kill a knight. So, I mean, very direct, very specific, but I don't know how easy to do. No Mercy, No Respite is Death in the Wind. Score 2 each time an enemy unit's destroyed by attack made by a Ravenwing model in your army that moved 12 inches or more during the movement phase that turn, or made a charge move that turn. So, when you're on the, if you just destroy something, that one's, I mean, you're looking at having to destroy at least 8 units by always moving Ravenwing models. If you're playing a pure Ravenwing army, that's cool. Again, and you have to have Deathwing to really max out this one too, so important. Although you can still get to 12 without being Deathwing Inner Circle. But again, they don't blend well together, you know what I mean? Because you have to have 2 different types of army. And then Battlefield Supremacy, Stubborn Defiance. It's progressive. In your first command phase, select 1 objective marker at the end of your command phase after the first. If you control that objective marker with a Dark Angels unit from your army that has the OBSEC ability, score a number of victory points based on the consecutive number of command phases you've controlled that objective for. So for 2, you score 2, for 3, you score 3, for 4, you score 5, and for 5, you score 5. So you max at 15 if an OBSEC, if the same OBSEC unit holds the same objective for 5 turns, basically. For example, in your third command phase, if you have controlled the objective marker with a Dark Angel unit from your army consecutively, you'll score 3 VPs. So that one feels good, because it's very often that you're going to have like a camping, some long-range unit that's Dark Angels sitting on objective from turn 1. And you just have to stay there. You just have to not leave that objective. So, and it has to have OBSEC though. So you're talking about something like a Intercessor Squad or a Deathwing Terminator Squad, even if you're playing the first company rule. That one, so these ones feel like situational. Like if I was going to take an all Deathwing army and then I'd play these 2 together. This one I don't feel like you're ever going to really want to play, because your knights aren't going to, your Ravenwing aren't going to want to sit still. But that feels very Dark Angel-y. Pick a spot on the board and just stay there for 15. Got our Crusade rules. So again, I'm going to just gloss over them. I'm not going to get too deep into them, but you get Hunting the Fallen is basically your agenda, which of course it should be for a narrative game. You're the Dark Angels. You're always looking for Fallen. You're looking for rumors of the Fallen. You're looking for someone who's talked to somebody who knows somebody whose cousin might have seen one of the Fallen. So all of your agendas are going to kind of lean into that, and you're gonna be on the look for them. And what's really cool is your opponent has to give someone in their army a Fallen keyword. When you play the capture mission, that Fallen keyword means that like you're gonna have like a person who knows something. I think that's really neat. And then you get an agenda as well for the Fallen agenda. If the Fallen model is still on the battlefield at the end of your game, your Warlord gains 3 experience points and your army gains a requisition point. So not only does your agenda lean into like hunting the Fallen, your opponent gains a Fallen model and they're always going to be hunted, and you'll gain experience for protecting them from the Dark Angels, which I thought was kind of cool. You can take up 0 RP interrogation to interrogate people, which I think is neat if you destroy any Fallen units. Capture the Fallen, none must know, mental interrogation, encircle the foe, different honorifics, cool Crusade relics like the Lion's Roar, some of your older relics from the old books, battle traits, and then we're into data sheets. All right, so we've already been through Inner Circle and Chink. Obviously, it's the only wound on 4s but can't fall back, and then a 5+ invul or 4+ if you move super fast. And let's look at some stuff. All right, we got Azrael. Oh, you classic miniature, classic Jessica Goodwin sculpt. He's still Azrael. It's funny because one of the most boring armies of early 8th edition was always called the Dark Angels parking lot. It was Azrael on a huge concentric spoked wheel of like vehicles and devastators and stuff sitting next to him with a chapter banner to make them shoot again and again and again, and they all got a 4+ info. It's not that different, but as long as it's an infantry or biker unit, you still get that 4+ info. Of course, he only affects core units now, and he can select 1 unit within 6 to reroll everything. So he's got his Angels of Death, Iron Halo still, Lion's Wrath is pretty much the same, Rites of Battle, gets 2 extra CPs because he's so smart, gets his Lion Helm for a 4+ invul, and it's within 6, not wholly within 6, which is nice. Belial's got his cool Sword of Silence for +2/-4 3 damage, and each time it's made against a unit, it's not a vehicle, it always wounds on 2s. He's Inner Circle, Iron Halo, Rites of Battle, Grandmaster Deathwing, so he can do the full rerolls for a unit within 6. He's basically a Chapter Master just for Deathwing. And then Parrying Blade, each time a melee attack is made against his model, it's -1 to hit. So he's -1 to hit too, which is kind of cool. He's pretty tough. I mean, none of these guys are Primaris though, so not super Primaris tough. Sam Allen is Bike. Now there's no longer Samuel on the whatchamacallit, the big land speeder. He's got his own Talon Master rules now. Although that may have been the way in the previous Codex too. Angel Death, Jink, Iron Halo, Grandmaster of the Ravenwing, so he's a chapter master for Ravenwing units. Rights of Battle, Turbo Boost, get the +6 move. Ezekiel, Master and Terramancer. He gets to manifest at +1 of the test. Book of Salvation. Friendly units within, friendly Dark Angel Core and character units within 6 get +1 attacks. It's an aura. But it's not a cumulative with Shock Assault, so basically when you're not charging, you're still charging. And he's got a 4+ invul now because he's the Keeper of the Keys. Didn't used to have that in 2nd edition. Can't believe they gave it to him. New Asmodee. He's got his Blades of Reason still. Each time he bear fights, make 1 extra attack with it. Does 2d3 damage. I think it's hilarious. Exemplar of Hate. Each time you see the roll to see the litany of hate recited by this model, add 1 to the roll. In addition, add 3 inches to the range of it. So he's a 9-inch litany of hate range. So in melee, he makes everybody super mad. Aura of Dread. While an enemy is within 6 of them, they all kind of be below half strength. You're -2 to your survival rolls. And then Spiritual Leaders. While friendly Dark Angel Core is within 6, they can use his leadership instead of their own. And he's a priest. Got your Interrogator Chaplain, pretty much the same. Town Master, which replaced the old Samael on Landspeeder. Lazarus is back, of course. He's the Primaris character that came in the little captain or the little campaign box. And he's got his Intractable Will, which I think is cool. He gets to fight when this model is destroyed. If it's within engagement range, it just makes all of its attacks before it does so. The ability is not cumulative with the Astraeus Banner ability or the only in death does duty end stratagem. It takes precedence. And he's got his Spirit Helm, which is kind of like a baby lion helm. It's a 6+ shrug for mortal wounds. And then you get it's a 5+ shrug for mortal wounds, and add +1 if it's this on model. So he has a 4+ shrug against mortal wounds, which is kind of cool. It's not quite the invulnerable save, but it's still a pretty cool shrug. Deathwing Strike Master, because you don't have there's only 1 Belial. You can't make multiple Belials anymore, so you get a Strike Master to be like the baby captain. Interrogator Chaplain and Terminator Armor. Deathwing Apothecary and Champion. The Deathwing Apothecary gets his Crux Terminatus and Combat Restoratives. At the end of your movement phase, this model can heal 1 friendly Dark Angel infantry or biker unit within 3. They get D3 wounds lost, but you can use the Bring Back Guys Stratagems course in the Space Marine Codex too. Gives the 6+ wound shrug as well, and he's part of a command squad. For each Deathwing command squad unit, including the detachment, 1 Deathwing Apothecary can be included. And you have your Deathwing Terminator squad, Deathwing Knights. The flail is still +2, -3, 2 damage, which is awesome, and you don't lose excess damage. I think Flail of the Unforgiven should be a rule for every melee weapon in 40k. It would speed the game up so much. Just use Age of Sigmar damage. I like that the Flail of the Unforgiven sets the precedent, though. It's just keep doing that. Damage flows through. And it's a flail, so it kind of makes sense. It goes whoosh, just like whips guys out. And your Mace of Absolution. I think Deathwing Knights are still amazing. 3 wounds. Right? They have the bonus wound now, because everything does. 2 attack space, 3 on the charge. 2s and 2s. 2+ save, 5+ invul. Oh, it's so good. And they all have Storm Shields. So they're actually 1+ saves with 4+ invuls. So they're immune to -1 rend. Oh my god. Yeah, Deathwing Knights are still where it's at, and the only being able to be wounded on 4+ because they're inner circle is amazing, and their core, of course. And Deathwing Command Squad, which is just 2 guys plus like all their follower guys. Ravenwing Apothecary, Ravenwing Champions, Ravenwing Ancients, Black Knights are still there. So Huntmaster and 2 to 9 Knights. Got their Astraeus Grenade Launcher, which of course can use that Stasis Grenade. Plasma Talons. 18-inch range assault 2. You can supercharge it to 8 -3 2 damage, but of course you can die still. Corvus Hammers, 2 damage, +1 -1. And Power Mauls, still okay. And so Ravenwing Dark Shroud is still here. The Landspeeder Vengeance, which is awesome looking. The Dark Shroud is less awesome looking. Of course, this is the big Landspeeder. 9 wounds, tough as 6. I mean, they're not terrible, right? Like, if you want to take that strategy where you kill something and then you get to, and you move in 12, they all move 12. So as long as they're all like, and their speed doesn't drop because they're not bracketable, they have less than 10 wounds. I could see it being worthwhile. They have a heavy bolter. They have an assault cannon. Potentially, I think I'd still take the heavy bolter nowadays because it's damage 2, and I just like that better. and the Plasma Storm Battery, which is awesome. Dark Talon, Nephilim Jet Fighter for the 2 planes that are unique, weapon profiles, and of course, I'm not going to go through every single point value, but you guys can look at it. And if you really care to peer through this and know all the points, you can know all the points. And that's it. Glossary and reference. And we're done. And I did remember this time to mark that off. I had to blur it out last time for the death card. So there it is. Codex Supplement, Dark Angels. What do I think? So, like, really good bits. I like that you can play a Ravenwing and Deathwing army. I like that they encourage you to be able to do that, and you can take a company bonus. I feel like that's a cool precedent for certain armies, especially, I mean, the Dark Angels have these iconic special companies like the Ravenwing and the Deathwing. I would have liked to have seen that maybe in like an upcoming Ultramarines Codex for like a Tyrannic War Vets section. I feel like being able to single out special companies that do special things is just like a cool, it adds more to this than just here's the extra kits you get access to because you're playing Dark Angels. And then reflecting that too in the sort of like the rules where you have your special objectives that kind of allow you to play into those as well and lean into them is nice. It's not as dedicated as the Death Guard were, but it still lets you lend into a playstyle. I feel like the Deathwing still just overshadow everything in this book. You're either playing Primaris army that's like pretty good and can fire into melee, which is kind of awesome. Or you're playing a Deathwing army where you've just got a gajillion knights and a lot of shooting, and you play the Fallen Hunt and maybe sit on objectives and just go ham. Because those flails are amazing. The only being able to wound on 4s is amazing. And you have a lot of like built-in stratagems that make you good too. I really like the Crusade rules. I know I said I was going to spend a lot of time on them, but there was some stuff worth mentioning. The fact that you play a Hunt for the Fallen and your opponent plays into it as well, I think is really cool, and just a nice like way of adding some character to the army. And overall, if I was going to like rank this with the Warhammer 40k codexes for Space Marine so far, I'd say this is probably the most thematically cool one. I like the Space Wolves one. I play Space Wolves. The Deathwatch one was great. I didn't get to do the Blood Angel one because it got lost somewhere during Christmas in the Christmas shipping. It just didn't show up. It was shipped but didn't arrive. So unfortunately, I haven't been able to pick that up yet because everything's closed. But this one is definitely up there as far as like just playing to the theme. I like that they are highlighting who the paranoid, crazy Dark Angels are, how they look at this new Imperium after the Cicatrix Maledictorum, and so kind of showcasing some of their like key iconic units. So if you're a Dark Angel player, look forward to playing your different companies, and of course adding all this stuff into your Space Marine collection. If you're not, and you're looking at doing a successor or something like that, the models are still great. The Knights and stuff, the Deathwing, the second wave of like Dark Angel stuff from Dark Vengeance with the Knights and stuff are some of the nicest Space Marine models I think of the last like 15 years. So well worth buying and picking up. I like Lazarus too, and of course if you want to lean into Primaris stuff, you get a little bonus for playing Dark Angels. So anyway, we'll see you for more GMG reviews, and you can also check out my On the Paint table today. Ash. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you want to support the channel, of course, like and subscribe and hit the little bell below so you get notifications when I post future content. I do post stuff 7 days a week. If you want to support the channel further, you can, of course, buy a t-shirt through Spreadshirts, buy a measuring gauge or objective markers from Deathwatch Designs, or, of course, most importantly, there is Patreon. Patreon is what makes all this possible, keeps the lights on, pays for the studio costs, pays for the equipment, model costs, and everything else, and most importantly, puts food in my kids' bellies and a roof over their heads. Big thanks to everyone, past, future, who supported me. I do this stuff because of you guys, and of course, I will continue doing it as long as I can.